Ian Taylor, welcome to CamTalks.
Good morning, afternoon even. How are you?
Do you know this is?
See, I've even lost the thought of time of day
This
nowadays.
is so bizarre sitting with you right now because I listen to you on Riduna Radio all the time, and now
You unfortunate person, you're the one. Okay,
and now I'm the one interviewing you.
Yep.
This is amazing. Ian, thank you. I mean, I don't even know where to start because like I said, you're normally the radio guy, and I'm listening to you speak. Why don't you just give my audience a very quick summary of who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, I'm Ian Taylor. I've lived in Alderney since 2018. I'm semi-retired. I used to work or do work as an export consultant to a number of people in the rehabilitation industry. I also am a shareholder of Riduna Radio. I'm a breakfast time presenter, and more recently, I'm one of the people setting up Riduna Fest.
There you go. Right. Thank you very much, Ian.
There we go.
That's it. Podcast done.
Good. Excellent.
That's a very dangerous word, Ian, isn't it?
Which one?
Semi-retired.
Yes. No. I
hear someone say I'm semi-retired, I'm like, that means the man has multiple job roles.
Yes, correct.
And how did you find, I guess, coming to Alderney? I mean, how did you even find out about Alderney? Where was the first time you came here?
Very easy. My father came over the Territorial Army after the war. Was a result, worked on the demining and debombing and all that stuff of Alderney. He was then latterly in a plane accident, and he was unable to stay in the army because he was the sole survivor of a nasty plane accident. So he trained as a town planner, and he came back to Alderney in the 60s, and he wrote the original Greenbelt plan for Alderney called the Davidge Report. And whilst he was writing it, we came here on holiday every year, and we did until it was no longer cool to come on holiday with your parents, and I went away with a girlfriend instead. And that's how I ended up here. And then latterly, I brought my first wife and the kids here to love and enjoy it. And then I talked Veronica into coming to Alderney as our potential retirement place, and she fell in love with it. And now we're here, and she's a States member, and I'm semi-retired in inverted commas.
What was Alderney like back then when you were growing up?
Crazy. I mean, it was totally different now. I mean, it was so busy. I mean, it was in the days when Pat Hart had the Harbour Lights and the Alderney Week. You spent because we lived in the Brennan's place next door to the Harbour Lights. So Pat Hart and Derek were great friends, my parents. I was a wee kid, like 6 or 7. And we got involved in building the Harbour Lights float, which was all done in the dead of night in dead secret and came out with millions of flowers on it. And it was in the days of so many planes. I mean, the big story of how many Trilanders used to come over from the mainland to here, and we came every year and loved it, and got stuck here once for 2 weeks because the fog came down and nobody could come on and nobody could come off, so I got a 2-week extended holiday. Perfect.
And you were more than happy.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
That was always the thing, is that if you get stuck on Alderney, great stuff.
Yeah, perfect. If you're trying to get onto it, it's a massive pain, but there we go.
Particularly if you've got a job and your boss is asking you, where are you? And you're like, mate, I can't do anything.
Well, you see, nowadays it's different. I mean, that's why, like post-COVID, I was able to carry on. I mean, I was an export. I had my own company helping people export. And prior to COVID, I was never in the UK. I was, 5 times a year in Australia. I had an office in Manhattan, in the Chrysler building. I was either there or I was in Europe and all this stuff. And COVID comes along and people bring out this thing called Zoom. And all of a sudden, people don't expect to see you anymore. So I thought, great, I don't have to get on planes anymore. So I didn't. And I just thought, this is good. So I can carry on making the same amount of money without actually wasting it getting on planes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so you're one of the people that would prefer not to go back to in real life.
Not really, because it timed with I had a heart incident in 2019. At the end of 2018, my 2 sons persuaded me that I was fat, unfit, and needed to start running. So they went, I know, Dad, there's this thing called Park Run. So I went, okay, I'll have a piece of that action. So I turned up at Milton Keynes Park Run, the first one in the new year of 2019, and having not done any exercise for a few years, like about 30, I went for a 5-mile run. Or 5-kilometre run. And then they said, well, Dad, you did all right. You didn't die. So let's do next week, which was in Leighton Buzzard. And it was full of hills. Perfect. I thought I managed to get around that. 2 weeks later, I went on a skiing holiday, and I was promptly medevaced down the mountain in an ambulance because I'd blown my upper aorta up, and it meant that I could no longer really fly around the world anyway.
Wow.
And that was the end of that.
Oh my God. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to remember that, because sometimes I call my dad fat and lazy.
No.
And, but
don't do that.
You know, don't do that. Don't do that. Dad
And
might.
now I'm told, when I go and see the consultant, he says, leave the running for running people, because you can walk places. But by the way, you can't even walk up the hill to our town now. You've got to take the car.
Oh my
Which
God.
is, you know, that's the way it is.
What does it do when you get news like that? Because I mean, like, you know, as a youngish guy now, I don't really think about my health at all, really.
Well, to me, it's just, you know, honestly, it didn't really matter, because as you've got written on your piece of paper, you know, I was 30, I was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So this is just another, something
Hold
else
a
to get
second.
in the way.
This is before you had heart complications.
Oh, yeah.
How old were you?
When I had cancer, 30.
You were 30 years old.
Yeah.
How did you find out you had cancer?
I was at a trade show. I worked at the time. I worked in a totally different industry to the one I'm in right now. I worked in the commercial laundry industry. I was the general manager of an American company based in the UK, and we went to a trade show in Vegas. And I took all my distributors there, and the guys that I worked for in LaGrange, Georgia, pulled me to one side and said, "You're doing so well. All your customers love you, but to be honest, you look terrible." I said, "Thank you very much." He said, "You're not so thin, and they're worried about you, and they're worried about this thing on your neck and all this sort of thing. So why don't you go and have it looked at?" So off I went. I got back home and went and had a look at it. And the surgeon-y guy said, "Best we take that off." So he did. And 2 weeks later, he's telling me, "I'm so really sorry. You've got malignant cancer of the thyroid gland. That's coming out. And I'm sorry to tell you as well, you've got 3 years to live, because it's spread and it's not curable." But guess what? They got it wrong. So having a heart thing after it doesn't really matter. It's just another little adventure.
What do you mean they got it wrong? Like,
Okay.
how can they get that wrong?
Well, if you ask anybody, sorry to use the phrase, but I finished peeing enough people off. That's the polite way I would normally put it. So I thought I'd stick around. So I had an awful lot of radiation and had it taken out and a load of other stuff, and I stuck around. But I lost my job. I lost everything. So, you know, a repossession man on the door and all that sort of stuff. So went from earning an awful lot of money to earning £81 a week on income support. Perfect, with a wife and 3 kids.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
And you're 30 years old as well.
Yeah.
And do you mind me asking how old you are now?
63.
Fantastic.
So they got it wrong.
They got it very wrong.
And it's good in some respects, because a lot of people, I mean, not a lot of people, about 10 to 12 people who I've talked to who have cancer. You know, I always talk to them about positive mental attitude. You've got to have a positive mental attitude. If you sit down and go, "Oh, unfortunately, it's not a great thing." So, you know, our next door neighbor, when we lived on the mainland, she had stage 4 lung cancer, and I just chatted to her most days, and she was in her 80s, and now she's totally clear. It's because positive mental attitude. Some people just get lucky.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my dad had prostate cancer,
That's right.
I was terrified as a young kid. I even made a documentary about it,
All right.
called "Everything You Don't Want to Know About Prostate Cancer."
Excellent.
So I interviewed his surgeon who did his operations. I interviewed some medical detection dog researchers, and Beyonce's former head of security as well, who had prostate cancer. And you go on this journey, and you interview people who have really, you know, faced that big statement, which is that you've got X amount of time to live. And they all deal with it differently. And I have to say, all the people that I met really were the people that said, "No, I'm not."
Yeah. Ain't getting me. Sorry. You know, it's just, you know, there's too much to do in life than sit there and wallow it. So, you know, apart from the fact that when I fell out with the family GP, because she came round to see me, and I'd previously been told that she was allowed given £100 to pop round and see terminal cancer patients. So she popped round to see me, and I was sitting in the garden in the house, surrounded by empty cans of John Smiths. I'd had a couple of drinks, and I wasn't very polite, and she didn't come and see me again because she was only there for the £100. It's like, okay.
Hey, I think you had bigger fish to fry.
Something like that. Yeah. But anyway, that was all of that.
It seems kind of like a no-brainer that you'd be a bit, you know,
sparky.
a bit annoyed, you know,
Yeah,
because you've got all these
yeah,
people trying to
yeah,
ask you questions about, like, I
yeah.
mean, what was kind of going through your mind? Did you?
Well, the biggest problem we had was finding a job. I mean, no one would give me a job. I was
That's kind of funny though, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
on
like,
your CV.
how long do you expect to be here?
3 months. Yeah. But literally, I mean, I didn't look great. I was 7'4" and I had a 24-inch waist. I'm now 14 stone and fat, but I was still the same height. So you went for an interview, and I applied for hundreds of jobs. And you know, they look at it: general manager, American corporation. What are you doing here? And I'm really sorry, but and nobody will give you a job. And then one day I went to go and see a chap. He was the chief exec of a company called Walker Greenbank, and they made years ago. There was this thing about the Lord Chancellor's office had really expensive wall covering on it, and I went for a job to work for them. And he said, "I'm really sorry, I can't do it." He said, but he rang me that night and said, "But I've got this company that make baths that we bought that get disabled people in. We'll pay you as a consultant. I can't employ you, but we'll pay you as a consultant. So do you want to do that?" I said, "Okay then." So I went into that. So I went from commercial laundry to suddenly being an expert, in inverted commas, in disabled bathing, and went in a different walk of life, which is where I am now.
Wow. And so all meanwhile getting treatment. And was that hard? I mean,
Yeah, it was boring.
radiotherapy?
It was boring. It wasn't even radiotherapy. It was radioiodine. So basically, they take out the cancers and all this sort of stuff, and then you get this lovely little jar of radioactive liquid. You swallow this, and then you sit in Northampton General Hospital for 2 weeks whilst you effectively sweat out or urinate out or defecate out all of the radiation. It's disgusting. But the thing is, everything goes into the room, stays in the room. No one can go in the room, and there's a big lead door, and they pass your food into you, and all that has to stay in a bag. And at the end of 2 weeks, somebody comes with a Geiger counter, and he goes, and it's you, and you think, "Oh, you're free to go now." It's like, "Oh, okay." That was
That's
it.
mad,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it was nuts. Yeah, and everything
Wow.
that was it that I had, TVs, anything you had, stayed in the room and got buried in the ground because it was so radioactive. But yeah, and that was that. That was the end of that. I didn't have any more treatment after that. I just regularly went back, and they, scans and all that kind of thing. But
Wow.
that
Did
was
you
in the past.
lose your hair?
No, not
No?
with radio. No, no. With radioiodine, it's just a radioactive liquid. You just glow in the dark.
That's mad,
Yeah.
mate. I can't believe it.
I'm not sure if the treatment's the same nowadays, but that's how it was then.
Yeah, well, I mean, look. Well, first of all,
Anyway,
I'm glad that you managed to get through that, and I'm glad that you got that positive attitude.
Yeah.
So I do believe that when you meet someone who's maybe having these treatments or having other similar treatments, you're probably the best person to talk to.
Yeah, because you kind of know. You've been there and done it and got the T-shirt, as it were. But just don't let it grind you down. You'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said so you had a family at the time as well.
Yeah.
So
I
you
still
must have
have a
been.
family.
I mean, so you must have been young when you had them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
So your first marriage. When were you first married?
When I was 22.
So you're 22.
1984. Yeah.
1984. Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
then
great time.
we went. Louise and I went on honeymoon to Antigua, and we won $300 on the crab racing on the second night, and went back to the bedroom and celebrated. 9 months later, we got Ben, who was a result of the $300.
Well, I'm sure Ben is gonna.
And
Ben loves that story.
Yeah. And now we've got, between Veronica and I, we've got 5 kids and 10 grandkids.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. So where did you grow up then? Where was your home?
In Bedfordshire. So basically in Woburn, in Bedfordshire. Yeah.
Brothers, sisters?
I had a brother. He's alive, but for whatever reason, we went on contact. And both my parents have passed away, so I'm an orphan. I was an orphan at 40. That's always my standing joke. But yeah.
And were you good at school?
I was terrible.
I can tell that about you.
I was. I went to public school because my father had a couple of quid. I went to public school in Bedford, and he paid an absolute fortune for my education. But the school totally missed that I'm severely dyslexic. So every time I went to do an exam, I answered what I thought was on the piece of paper, not actually what was on the piece of paper. So I left school with 4 O levels, which then became 10 O levels every time I flunked A levels, which was brilliant.
Wow. What were you interested in at school, like subjects wise?
I rode at school.
Like horses?
row, as in rowing, as
rowed.
in a boat.
Oh, in a
kind of way.
boat.
Not
Okay, I
yeah,
see.
that
Well,
one.
you said like public
Row,
school,
yeah,
so I thought, you know, so that's
and
like polo or something.
yeah,
you
no,
know?
no.
But rowing, all right.
Yes,
Still very
wet
posh, isn't
bob
it?
stuff.
Yeah.
And then I skied. I learned to ski in when I was 8. So when I left school, and I was meant to try and retake my A levels for the 3rd time, and I found a job to be a ski instructor. So I disappeared off and was a ski instructor for 18 quid a week, but it had free board and free booze.
Classic dyslexic you, aren't you?
Yeah.
Probably a bit of ADHD in there.
Off we go
and,
there. Yeah.
Whatever we can label them up.
Teach
way,
school kids, that'll do.
You just weren't academic.
No. And I learned to fly. And when I was 50, I tried to get my license back. And when I looked, I could jump in a plane, could fly the plane, no problem. But when I went to go and try and learn all of the theory stuff and got a book out, couldn't soak the information anymore, which is going to be quite interesting because I'm going to be in the panto and I'm going to try and read these lines that I've got to try and remember.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, look, we'll come on to that a little bit later. Yep. But I just want to kind of like try and understand because you had all that yep. medical problems.
Yep.
But now you're fine.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
Because this man is now leading what is going to be one of the biggest music festivals in Alderney's history.
One would hope so.
The Riduna Fest.
Yes.
So why don't you just bring us back a bit then? Because first of all, Riduna Radio was established how many years ago now?
2.5.
2.5 years ago. And how did that story begin?
We basically there were a number of us who were presenters down at Key FM, and for one reason, there was a falling out, and we all sat down and we were all having a chat, and it seemed like a good idea to start again. And V and I had just sold the property in the UK, so I had a couple of quid on the hip. So I said, well, don't worry, I'll bankroll it until I get it paid back. So at the time, Julianne Ugler wanted to move out the butcher's shop. And I approached her and said, can we have this? She said, and we had a couple of options. One, she'd offered it to Dougal free for 6 months to see how it goes. But I kind of been a salesman, went, I'll tell you what, I'd rather you paid me advertising and we paid rent instead. Okay. So we took it on. So yeah, and we designed it and did it, and there we are. I mean, we've now got nearly 40,000 listeners. We broadcast 7 till 7 every day, and during the week, and just having a bit of fun. But it's yes, it's a limited company. Yes, it's meant to be for profit. We don't make a profit. We scratch a living, but we raise so much money for charity, which is brilliant. I mean, we've raised nearly 12,000 quid for local Alderney charities since we got started doing madcap things.
I really love it because when I'm in the UK, I can listen to it. So it's actually not a radio station, right? It's an online radio station.
Basically,
what's the difference?
Well, we don't broadcast on the FM frequency. Or DAB. Basically, you can listen to us either online, if you've got one of those Alexa things, or via the website, etc. But if you look at, for example, the likes of Radio 2 and all these guys, when I was a kid, and later on, it's like 98 to 99 FM and all this stuff. They never mention their FM frequency anymore because all they talk about is their digital frequency. Because in a few years, FM won't exist, so it's fairly pointless going down that route. And it's also cost prohibitive. An FM license is incredibly expensive. And we rely on the goodwill of our advertisers to keep us going. We're all volunteers, and we scratch our nose just about. So that's about that's.
I think it's great because I've not even seen a radio in years. I wouldn't even know how to tune into something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is, and that's what I find incredibly interesting about this chap who wants his pirate radio station. I mean, if everybody's switching off FM, I don't know why he wants to bother with it. But it's interesting you say that because in a similar vein, one of our grandsons, Sonny, went with V to look at Telegraph Tower recently when they've done it up, and he was looking around there and he saw, that's interesting. And then he went to go and join the golf club, and when he got to the golf club, he had the membership form, and it was like mobile number, and he said landline. I said, landline? What's that? He said, landline. He said, no. What's a landline?
Oh my God!
Not a clue. 14 years old, didn't even know what a landline was.
That's
it's like,
mental, isn't it? It really is mental.
And you think the first mobile phone I had was the size of a brick, so with a big aerial out of it. So,
you must have looked great with a brick phone.
I was at the Institute of Marketing. And of course, we were all posing in the garden with these house bricks hanging off your hand. Nobody could hear you because they were so terrible, but you look good.
Yeah, as long as you looked good. Well, that's kind of how the old world was, wasn't it? It was all about how you moved and and I guess who you know, not what you know. That was always a big term pre-internet. And of course, now the internet has just made everything a lot more, I think, fair and open. It's like now I can get in touch with anybody in the world.
Yes.
And I don't need to know them or ask a friend. It's like I can reach out to them online, and if they want to talk to me, they talk to me.
I think that in a lot of instances, in what I do in export sales, I've developed my business is all about meeting people. 99.99% of the people I sold kit to ended up being my friends. I had a friend of mine over and his wife from Hong Kong recently, who I've known for 25 years, and we're really good mates. I've sold him some baths years ago, and we became mates. But those relationships where the family, we went to his son's wedding and all this stuff, they don't exist via the internet. So you can't form a relationship on Zoom or something like that. It's staring someone in the whites of the eyes and buying a pint and going out and having a few bevies or a few too many. That's how relationships are made. They're not made via the internet on Zoom. I'm sorry. And that's from an old fart. I'm sorry.
No, you are an old fart, but I want to know more about that, because I don't deny that is it sucks, Ian, because there's so many things I want to show you about like the new world.
And I'm so reluctant to go.
But then I'm also so understanding as well, because you're absolutely right. Like we have like a real loneliness epidemic. Suicide rates have gone up, by 30%. I mean, since 2000. If I was to say you're going to pay 30% more taxes, everyone would be up in arms. But to say that 30% of people are killing themselves more, or it's risen by 30%, and you wonder why, and people start looking at social media, and you start looking at like cost of living and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of problems, and technology may not be the solution to those problems.
But it's interesting because going just quickly turning back to the radio, every morning when I start the breakfast show, I start with a comical thing or something to do with the day. So, for example, today there's an Olympic swimmer has now decided to leave the Olympic team and join the enhanced Olympics, which is basically people who can take drugs and enhance their body are going to do it this way, and silly things like that. And you look at it and you think, well, there are different ways of doing things, and I think one of the things I looked at sometimes is who's got birthdays. So you go on to Tinterweb and you look at who's got a birthday, and famous people with birthdays, TikTok this, influencer this, so and so, and you go about 2 million person down, Mozart. It's like, who? And it's like, because it's all about the internet is bent around influencers and people like this, or AI, or 6 months ago I hadn't got a clue what AI was.
Well, now you do.
Now I do.
Just scratching the surface, though. But no, I mean, like what all I really want to say is the fact that I believe that your generation had it right, in the sense that like you weren't given too many opportunities, so you had to go out your door and go and find opportunities to connect and have a drink and do business. And I do appreciate it, because today, if you're an exporter or a merchandiser or whatever you're doing, it really is like, get on LinkedIn or get on their website, make the order, never see the person. It goes through a factory, goes through another factory, and it gets to you, and you're like, don't even need to know who my work colleagues are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's mad, isn't it?
It is nuts. It is nuts.
So how long were you working in the exporting business for?
I started it in 2010. Prior to that, I was the export sales director of a major manufacturer of rehabilitation equipment. They got bought out. I didn't like it. V said, it's about time you got off on your own. So I set up a company. Funnily enough, it was Attraction to Alderney. What are you going to call it? Ian Taylor's exporting company. No, I called it Alderney Healthcare. So I established a company called Alderney Healthcare in 2010. And I went along and started to pick up people who wanted to export, and said, "Oh, how much is it?" And you say, "Oh, it's this amount a month as a consultant. I'll have some of that." And then I made a load of moody business cards, and took them to an exhibition and handed them around to a bunch of people saying, "Do you want to expert? I'm an expert in this industry," which I wasn't. Didn't really matter. And people, "Oh, we'll have some of that," and it just built it up from there. In the end, we used to have, we had its heyday. We're probably turning over somewhere in the region of £750,000 in consultancy and managing people's exports. So one of my biggest clients, we took over the whole of their sales operation for them internationally. We processed the orders. We arranged for the factory to get the kit out the door. There was V, me. We tried both. One of my sons had a go, couldn't work with his dad. V's son, Paddy, had a go, couldn't work with me. I wonder what that... There seems to be a common theme in this. V left because she couldn't work with me. So, but yeah, and we ended up, I exported all over the world. So as I said, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East, an awful lot of time in the Middle East.
Whereabouts?
Oman, Qatar, Saudi, Bahrain, UAE, all over.
Wow, this must have been during its sort of rise to glory.
It was, yeah. It was the first time I ever went to Dubai. Dubai stopped at the World Trade Center, and all the stuff out there didn't exist. The company that I left, I owned basically the contract for wheelchairs throughout the whole of the Middle East. So the standing joke was, if I arrived at for example, Doha Airport, and the wheelchair on the jetway wasn't one of our wheelchairs, the distributor knew he was going to get fired. So we basically sold thousands and thousands and thousands of wheelchairs into the Middle East. But in those days, they're all made in China. But they didn't want to know they were made in China. So we used to bring them back into Bridgend in South Wales, open the box, stamp made in the UK on them, throw a seatbelt in them and export them back to the Middle East. And then they were happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't everything just made in China though? Isn't
Most stuff, yeah.
I mean, is this, from an exporter's point of view, do you see this being a major issue? Because I know that the States are trying to bring back manufacturing and stuff.
I don't think so, because, I mean, biggest, for instance, I was with the Minister of Health in Saudi Arabia, and he was talking to me about, we want our power chairs to come from Europe and blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. And he said, why? He said, because nothing in China can be good. And I said, could you just open the back of your phone? In those days, you could slide off the back of your phone and said, what's written on there? He went, made in China. And he said, okay, they can come from wherever you like, And it's basically, it was a perception. They just didn't want to know they were made in China. But I had a great time. I spent 40 years traveling in the world, having the best fun ever, and getting into quite a bit of trouble as well.
Wow, it does sound like you had a great time.
Yeah.
And I can see why you're a self-starter and a sales guy. I mean, what is the secret to selling something?
That is a secret to selling it. Probably looking someone in the eye and telling them a barefaced lie is probably the best way.
This is good for you.
Yeah, you really want this, but just be honest with people. But I think you've just got to be honest and a chatty, outgoing type of person. But if you believe in whatever it is you're trying to go, I mean, I've just finished a contract in June with a Polish company that I've worked with for many, many, many years. And I've signed a contract to say that I'll never sell a home care bed in my life. But even though people are saying, we can sell yours, because you can't go along saying, this is the best home care bed in the world. And then 2 minutes later, I said, but actually this one's even better, because you just get shot down.
Sure.
But it's just
Was
fun.
it a big jump between, working for someone else and starting your own business?
Not particularly, because when you're in export, you're actually working for yourself anyway. There is a factory that makes this stuff.
Yeah.
But you spend the whole time, your whole life away. And it doesn't matter where you are, whether it's America or Australia or the Middle East or whatever. You're always on your own. Unless V came out with me and spent some time with me, or but generally you've got to be an individual. Yeah, you've got to be part of a team, but typically you're on your own.
I've had a bit of experience with doing the whole living in hotels stuff and going to conferences and stuff.
Boring as well.
Oh my God! And all of your friends and family are like, "Oh, you're doing so. You've traveled the world." I'm like, no, I haven't. I haven't. I haven't
seen it.
No, I haven't seen it. I went to a conference and then another conference, and it's horrible, really, isn't it?
There's nothing. I mean, it's lovely to see parts of the world. I mean, there's certain places I love to go to, but other places like really, there are parts of the Middle East. The best view is when you're leaving it. But it's a privilege. I flew around the world first class most of the time, and it's just like it's a privilege to do that. But
wow. What's that like in first class?
It's rather nice. You have a shower at 38,000 feet, and eat whatever you want to eat and all that kind of thing.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I've got to get off Alderney then to get some first class.
The furthest I've been recently is Innsbruck skiing.
Austria.
Yeah, skiing.
I've been there. Yeah, great.
But that's as far as it's been.
So where did you meet V then? And when was
Tinterweb.
this? And the Tinterweb.
In Tinterweb, this thing that I hate. Yeah.
This thing that you hate actually brought you the love of your life.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how
Friends You Reunited Dating it was.
Was it .com?
Yeah, I think it was a .com. It was basically the whole idea of that in those days, and it was, let me think. She's going to kill me. About 2005, I think, ish, that kind of way. I lived in Ireland, and I'd split up with my second wife and moved back to England. And I went on there to see what my schoolmates were up to, and there was a dating part of it. I thought, I'll have some of that. And she had the misfortune of seeing a picture of me in an England rugby shirt, surrounded by cans of beer on a train. And her friend Lorraine went, "He's great," and she went, "No, he's a drunk." Well, that's true. But then she said, "Look, he's in a first class carriage," and I was on the way to the Calcutta Cup game. So I mean, there's got to be some comeuppance on that one. Yeah. Ooh. So we met on the internet.
Interesting. Yeah. I want to take a very quick break to thank Bell & Co for helping to sponsor this episode. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available on Alderney and can also help guide you to some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com and find out how you can escape to paradise. Back to the episode. Ian, it seems like all of the best things in your life have come from the internet. You've got your children work in marketing. You have a radio show online, and the love of your life you met on the internet.
But I still don't grab it.
So why are you such a Luddite?
Because I'm an old fart. That's why.
Oh, I don't know.
You're gonna a lot of convincing. This is a podcast. My youngest son, who's now 32, said to me, "Dad, you need to watch a podcast. I'll send you a couple." Then this was yesterday. Then yesterday you said, "Why don't you do my podcast?" So I said, "I'm doing a podcast." I said, "You're having a laugh." So there we are.
Well, thank you for actually embracing it. I think you are embracing it. I mean, this is called Operation Kicking and Screaming because I think
dragging him into the dark age.
I think we'll get you for sure. Yeah. I mean, do you know where the name podcast came from?
No.
A little bit of trivia here.
I can help you out here. No, I can help you out here. This is a story you don't know. My eldest son, Ben, who is now he's 40 this year. When he left uni, he went to Nottingham, and when he left, he started a thing called Into the Game, and he got people, famous cricketers and famous footballers, to send him recordings of what have they done today and all this sort of stuff, right? And he would then put them together and he put them out as a chat, and they did it for fun. He didn't pay them and all this sort of stuff. And he basically worked out that at the time, there wasn't actually enough money in this. And that is now a podcast.
That is exactly what it is. Absolutely. Yeah, these audio shows. Well, I mean, it was Apple came out with the iPod, and the podcast was basically their ability to, up. Anyway, it's all crap. But then the nice thing I love is the fact that you've got a radio show, which quite clearly has two parts to it. Really, you've kind of got the music side of things, and then you've got the deep interviews with people. Yeah. That's the interviews with people is where it should be a podcast, know, where we should be able to go and listen back on Spotify or Apple or like see it online. That's where we want to go back in, and we'll get to that.
Well, we have got. I mean, we've just starting at the end of this month. We've got Lindsay Sumarez, the Chief Minister, is starting a chat show with V and Jeannie Cameron called Women in Politics. Amazing. And I browbeat the three of them into it, and they all agreed. Okay, after I'd beaten them all, they all said, "Okay, that's fine." So they're going to do an hour-long chat show, which you can happily film and put out as a podcast if you wish.
Is it going to be in person?
In the radio.
in the
No,
radio?
Lindsay's going to dial in that because she's too busy. But
The truth is that it's far easier to do it on Zoom these days. So like AI could actually be on the Zoom call, listen to the whole thing, transcribe it, edit it for you, and do all the posting as well.
Yeah.
So I know I can see you sweating right now. You're like, don't worry.
Anyway,
we'll cross this bridge.
Okay.
But you must have had so much fun doing Riduna Radio after a few years.
Yeah. I mean, it is fun, and everyone knows I'm slightly irreverent, and I think every time I go on air, people like Marge Bowen cringe, and Dougal's going, "Oh God, what's he going to say now?" But I've learnt now. Now, Visa States member, I've had to be. Rein it in a bit, I think the word is.
Cleaner profile, I reckon.
Yes, yeah, that would be it, yeah.
I love it though, mate. I feel like you've always been destined to be a radio host.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'm just a bit theatrical.
I think so, yeah.
Hence the panto edition.
Oh dear. So tell me about, so they've roped you in then.
I went for an audition and suddenly I got roped in. So I don't know. I think my part is a professor or whatever it is, but we will see.
I love that. What, you accidentally went to the audition?
No, I deliberately. I said to Charlotte I'd go along. So
and it's Charlotte Newton as well.
Yeah,
like
when you're in the door, you're screwed. You're in.
You can't say no now.
No,
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, this is great because Riduna Radio has been a success.
Yep.
And it's still a success. We all love it. Everyone loves going in. Then how the hell did you get the idea to create a music festival after Alderney Week called Riduna Fest? Where the hell did this start?
I was bored. No, about 6 months ago, I was in Blanchard's when James Clark was still there, and I was chatting to him about something we were doing in the house, and I said in passing, lads, if you ever, get Rock the Rock gets too much for you, then let me know, and I might be interested in taking it over for you. And then about the week after Alderney Week, Wayne and Vicky were busy outside the airport, busy taking down all the banners for Alderney Week, and I went, "Oi!" So I went over and he said, "Were you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I was." He said, "Yeah, all right then." So I then started to get together a band of like-minded fools, including your father, and said we should do this, but we should do it bigger. And I always wanted to do it bigger. I thought the idea of just having it in the marquee, you need many, many more people than that. So that originally we tried to make it a 2-day thing in the marquee, but because of the timing of the boats on and off at Alderney, it's impossible to do. So I said, well, why don't we look at having it in the quarry? And I thought, well, how we came with Riduna Radio was, when I was a kid, you had the Riduna bus, and what is the farm shop used to be Riduna stores, and obviously it's the old Roman name. And I thought, well, we might as well carry that on, not necessarily as a brand, but as a name. And I said, we'll call it Riduna Fest, and there we are.
I love it. I think I've been saying it wrong the whole time. I say Riduna.
That's because you're listening to my Auntie Margaret, who pronounces it that way.
Bloody Margaret, yeah. Well, so, but do you know what? This is what I love about this conversation as well, Ian, because I actually didn't realise that you are an Alderney boy through and through.
Basically from being a kid, I came here all my life, on a holiday, yeah.
And now it's all falling into place now, like Riduna Radio and just generally, because actually I think this happens to a lot of people. I think a lot of people come here when they're younger, they go away, they live in the world.
Yeah. And then they think, "Oh, that's nice."
Come home to roost.
But it's somewhere lovely because the grandkids come over and everybody knows it's so safe. The kids can walk. We have the youth club kids at the radio, and they leave in the middle of winter. They'll leave if they want to lift home. We give them a lift home. If they don't, they'll walk home pitch black. 11-year-olds, and nobody worries. You don't have to worry about anything on this island, and it's so refreshing because you go back to England and you think, no, I think I'll go home. Thank you very much.
It must be quite hard. Obviously I know you bring news to people through Riduna Radio. The news is shockingly just...
It is not great. It's not great.
Doesn't make you feel happy, does it?
It doesn't. And it's, you want to scream and shout about it, but there's nothing you can do about it. No. That's the problem. But no, we're having fun, and I think that I've got other ideas in mind as well, which I can't divest about at the moment. But I've had conversations about another little project I'm working on.
Well, I would love an actual news. Yeah,
A scoop.
I would love for you to do a talk show where you just sit on Facebook and go through the Alderney resident groups and talk about what you see. It's hilarious when you see like the police. I used to get police posts. Did you use Facebook at all?
Yeah.
So there was the one of someone's like stolen the flower pot.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah, but you look whose flower pot it was, and you think, well, only that person would be the person who'd be going, someone stole my flower pot.
Yeah, but it's got like a Crime Stoppers number and everything. It's like, if anyone's seen this flower pot, report it to the police. And then you're looking on the telly, and you're like, bloody people are dead, and you're like,
where's my flower pot?
Yeah, Alderney, bless Alderney. We are just such a small little community, aren't we?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's magic. It's magic.
Yeah.
So what else keeps you busy then? Obviously,
radio, Mabel walking, Riduna Fest now. I'm going back to doing a bit of consulting in what I did. I'm off to Germany next week to go and see some clients doing that. Honeydews, as I would call them. My wife going, honeydew this, honeydew that. You know, so it's jobs that I'm given, those kind of things. And we're busy building an extension on the house, so those kind of thing.
Fabulous. What about the sort of party scene in Alderney? How would you explain your social life?
The Georgian house, moorings, the blonde. There we go.
We are kind of spoilt here, aren't we?
We are.
We're so spoilt.
We're spoilt with good eateries, and we're spoilt with, regretfully, lesser and less pubs. But I mean, when I first came here, there were 14 pubs. There's not that many now, but there's, there is stuff to do if you make stuff to do. If you sit at home and wallow, you go, oh, it's a bit boring here. But I don't have, certainly V doesn't now, she's a States member, but I don't have any time at all.
What the hell convinced her to be a statesman? I mean, I'm sure I'll ask her one day. But
best get her in and ask her, because I'm not going to answer.
How do you feel right now? That's
like I said, I'm not going to answer.
That's raised your profile a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm Dennis Thatcher now. I walk like 3 paces behind the Iron Lady.
I love that. You say, Madame. Does she start telling you what to do in bed now?
She always has.
I love that. That's crazy. Well, I'm glad that you're both getting stuck in both respects. And so I've got down here that you like Jack Sparrow. What
Jack Sparrow?
Listen, I don't know whether this is some joke between you and V. I don't remember that night that you guys were out together. She told me to ask you about Jack Sparrow.
Oh.
Is this appropriate for a podcast that may get listened to by children?
No, this relates to my departed friend Franz van Leyen and I. We went to a company night out. It was a fancy dress, and it was music. It was film was the theme, and I went as Jack Sparrow. And the girls in the office did the whole thing. So they did the whole makeup stuff, and they did this. And basically, when they finished, you couldn't tell I was who I was. And I had proper Jack Sparrow outfit and all this sort of thing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I was good.
I bet you look like a good Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, I look better than I did when I went to Tess Woodnut's party dressed as a woman.
Oh,
I looked shocking there. We'll go to that later.
That was the S party. And so you were S for...
I was Susie from the 60s, and I went in an A-line dress with stockings and suspenders and 4-inch heels. Anyway, we won't talk about that.
Well,
anyway, let's go back to Jack Sparrow.
Someone will find this out.
Oh, the pictures are available on Tinterweb somewhere.
Oh
anyway,
my God. So fancy dress Jack Sparrow, you're quite good.
It went very well, except Franz and we had way too much. Well, actually, we left because it was in Bridgend in South Wales, and it was a factory that I worked. I was the export guy for, and he was my sales manager. So he and I went, and there was a punch up, as there usually is in South Wales, at a Christmas party. So we left, and we got up the next morning. We went to work, and anyway, about 2 years later, my son Ollie phoned me and said, Dad, have you still got your Jack Sparrow outfit? And I said, yeah, no problem. He said, can I borrow it? I said, yeah, I'll get it for you. So I'll pop round tomorrow and come and get it. And I found it in a bag. The only problem was it was absolutely covered in blood. I mean, an awful lot of blood. So I buried it.
You buried it?
Yeah, because I didn't know whose blood it was. So I buried it.
Oh, God.
Because I thought, oh, God, what was... And then Franz was alive at the time, and I phoned him and I said, mate, what happened? He says, I don't remember. I said, why was it covered in blood? He said, I don't remember. So we must have had quite a few sheets.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? I always tell people to not incriminate themselves on my podcast.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
You know what?
Would you like the precise date and time, my lad?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the interview has commenced
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
It is quite funny. I can't remember who I asked recently, but I did ask someone if there's ever been a murder on Alderney, and it was Sarah Kelly, who used to obviously work in the in the courts here. And once you start saying this out loud, you start thinking crime on Alderney.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I would rather not know.
Yeah. I remember when we first moved here, in the garden there were apple trees and plum trees, and we went to bed one night and knowing all the plums were ready, and we woke up next morning, all the plums were gone. So somebody had been around in the night and stripped the tree of the plums. And I know who it was, and I bumped into this person about a year later when they were walking past the gate, and I said, plums are ready. He said, we didn't know you lived there, honest. So they admitted they'd been into the garden and robbed the whole lot off the tree in the pitch black. Doesn't matter. No.
Just going to carry that one with you for a while. It's almost like a little bit of a chip on the shoulder.
No, not at all. I'd rather get the guy who stole the 750 litres of oil out of our tank when we were away.
No way, bastard.
When we were busy, when we first put the boiler in, we filled up the tank. When Jimmy Walker got it going, we went away and came back. It was bloody empty.
Jesus, man, that's quite a serious crime.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
But you try proving it.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
well, we don't like to talk about the bad things, but there are bad things on in everywhere, right?
Things,
it's not just Alderney. These things happen everywhere.
Yeah. What else is on that nasty little list of yours?
Well, there's a few things. Skiing, obviously. I hear you've had a lot of experience in skiing, but I want to talk a bit more about some of the nasty things, because you now so close to the heart of this island's pulse or whatever, like you get to find out things maybe quicker than others. People might come to you with their little secrets.
Might they?
Well, the interviews that you do, you've done some pretty serious political interviews as well.
We had some interesting people in. Yeah. But no, I mean, what's that thing? Hear all, see all, say not much at all. That was polite, wasn't it?
My point being is that if there was one propaganda machine of this island, except for this podcast, it would be Riduna Radio. And you guys seem to have had a lot of states members and people from Guernsey come through the door. So what's the sort of how does it feel having people want to come and actually do this?
I think it's great, because I know that it annoys some of the other media that one in particular in Guernsey, and has commented that how come Riduna Radio seem to get all the people coming into them. It's because I beat them on them all the time. I'm constantly, like when we were doing the runway petition, I'm firing out mails on the internet all the time, trying to get states members involved and all this sort of stuff, and getting the people on our side. And I've been trying to get to Lindsay for quite some time, and then once she was the chief minister, I was already talking to her prior petition, and once she was the chief minister, I wrote to her with this women in politics idea. And she said, well, that sounds a good idea. And then she was over the other week. And I hadn't quite exactly told Jeannie Cameron what was going to go on. But Jeannie was there, and accidentally I attacked all three of them and said, I've got this great idea. And Lindsay went, yes, we'll have some of that. And the other two ladies are sitting there going, you bastard. And suddenly they're doing a 3-person political talk show.
I can't wait for this.
It should be good.
But that's a very big subject, which I didn't write down here. I should have. The airport runway petition, which you started on the internet. Another fantastic reason that the online world exists.
I love the internet.
Your petition that you started got a lot of traction.
It did.
But we have been, to put this clear to people who don't understand Alderney, we have been suffering for a very long time with a very shoddy runway. And it just took one little spark, like an online petition. Yeah, I think again it was attracted to by a bottle of wine. I think V was sitting there. V was sitting there doing something on her laptop, which obviously on the internet, and I'm sitting there bored, and I'm so pissed off for the fact that the runway was all closed, or it was this. I thought I'll go on the internet and I'll find a petition system, and I found iPetitions, and it was so easy. I went, oh look, I've set up a petition. So I then started to fire it round, and it went nuts. And it just got to the point where
it gained so much traction that the BBC got hold of it. I was in with the Beeb, the ITV got hold of it. It was in the Guernsey press. And in the end, we got it to the point where just on exactly the right day when it was going to be debated in Guernsey, I happened to accidentally on purpose be there and handed over the petition. So we got massive coverage from that as well. And I think that between that and the work that the Guernsey state, the Alderney states members have done, has helped it push over the line. What we need now is our good friend and radio presenter, Mark Hellier, to get on. Now he's chair of STSB, is to get on and deliver the promise, although he has promised he will.
This is getting complicated. I tell you why it's complicated, because it seems to me that we all really like each other, and we all know who's in these positions of power. And it's like, how do you like stroke someone and slap them at the same time? It's like you can't
be a salesman.
Well, actually, you're absolutely right there. Like it's figuring out how do you get what you want for the public, but then also know that they're still
a good mate at the same time.
And they're only human as well. That you can't start throwing mud at them because they couldn't achieve something that's almost impossible.
Yeah, but it's possible. It is possible. It's just how it's doable. And Lindsay Sumarez said it will get done. Don't worry, it's going to get done. It's just a question of the timeline. And the problem is now we're getting into winter again, and you get to the bad weather, and they start to put less people on the doorna in case it's raining and blah blah blah. It's it just needs doing. But I do believe that the commitment is there, and I do believe it will happen.
But obviously, so the commitment from Guernsey, under the fact that they take care of us, and we take care of them, they are going. What do you want them to do? Build a new airport?
No.
Fix the runway, extend the runway, new terminal. What do we actually need? Bare minimum.
Dig it up, put down a new runway, make it wider, the same runway, same length, make it wider so it increases a crosswind correspondent. For that's all you need. You don't need a longer runway. There is a discussion that if you add X meters to it, you can land a King Air on it, which is what they used in Jersey as the Medivac aircraft. But the idea of a new terminal, I have to say, I think it's quaint. It's fit. I mean,
I like it.
It's the only thing they've done stupid now is put 2 porter cabins there, so people can't go wave in the at the gates when people land. But it's nothing wrong with it. It's fit for purpose. But I have to say that equally, they're spending all this money on Guernsey Airport, and it seems to me that's perfectly fine. But they're future proofing it for the future. Well, why not repair ours, because it's not even fit for purpose now?
Yeah, I mean the worrying thing, I think, is the fact that I don't know anything about airlines or stuff like that, but even I know that like a pothole in the road, it ain't good for your tires.
No.
And I don't know if we're going to have necessarily like a big crash or something, but one little puncture, and
it's not going to look good.
Our only Dornier is like it's out of action.
Yeah, and I think the other good thing is that they're Aurigny are moving from the Dornier to the Skybus and to the Twin Otter, and that when the Dornier lands, as you know, it hits the runway like a rock, whereas the Twin Otter doesn't do that. So half the reason that the runway is so broken up, and it's a bit like a tectonic plate, it's smashed up underneath, or as one of the guys who signed the petition said, it looks like one of my wife's patchwork quilts. It's been, it broke it up so much because it hit the runway so hard every time. And I think that, when it's dug up and replaced, the Otter won't create that much damage.
And so do you think we're going to get there in terms of like, getting transportation like sorted?
I've got to say, people like Edward Hill and the other guys have done a lot of work working on Jersey in getting connectivity. I mean, we had the new ferry this year to Jersey. We had Finisterre running the Cessna Caravan over to Jersey, and that gives us better connectivity, because if you get on that or whatever, I mean, the boat is 75 quid or whatever it is. You can then go to the airport and you can get on EasyJet or BA to the mainland.
40 quid, return.
For nothing. Yeah, I mean, I had 3 of my grandkids came over for Alderney week, 1,000 quid. Okay, I'm fortunate. I got the 1,000 quid. Not now I'm retired. Had the 1,000 quid. But at the time, but not everybody can do that. and things need, hopefully things will improve. The spirit of competition, a bit more competition, be worthwhile. And I think if we've got a runway that's fit for purpose, and it's up to standard, then I think more people might be interested in flying into Alderney and put fuel in there.
Oh my God! Well, we lost fuel a few years ago, didn't we?
Well, I don't know. I there's some talk of fuel coming back, but I remember when my father used to fly over on his plane. Half the gig was you came to Alderney and you got duty-free fuel. Thank you very much. So you used to fill the living bejeebers. A bit like when people go to Guernsey, they fill up their boat full of fuel because it's cheaper there. You fill up the plane. Oh, we'll have some duty-free booze. Oh, and I'll go down to town and I'll get a load of lobsters and I'll take them home. Brilliant business for the island.
I was also told by one of the pilots that this hasn't actually been updated on the online pilots sort of database or whatever it is. So like it still says that Alderney Airport is available for fueling.
That's not going to be very good if you land there and
do you know what I mean? Yeah, literally. And I think this person was just like, thankfully no one's actually like made a problem about it. But imagine if you land on Alderney, there's no fuel. Hopefully that will all get solved, because actually I do remember I presented to the Economic Development Committee a couple of months ago, and just as I was walking out, the guy that was asking for fuel at the airport was walking in.
All right.
So and as I walked in, they all sound like they're all like, yep, I or whatever the hell they do. It is a funny political system, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't do it for love nor money.
No, me neither.
No interest. Neither. But I think I even said on the radio, if you see my name on the ballot, shoot me.
Shoot me.
And I got a message from Dougal that when he was in his before he retired as a jurat today, was you can't say that because you might give carte blanche to someone to go and kill you because you just said do it.
Oh my God. I mean, like I just see it more as like, I don't mean this in a negative way, but like someone's got to do the work, right? And then someone's got to put people to work. Now I have begged the states of Alderney to let me help them make videos and whatever. Like I beg you, do you know what I mean? I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, let me help me do it. But sometimes
that's when you don't forget to get out of bed. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, there was one time.
Yes, there was one time.
Yeah. That's true. But that's the thing, is on this island, like I want to help in the best way possible, but I don't want to be the person who has to be a states member, because that is an unforgiving job.
It does. You're devil if you do, devil if you don't.
Absolutely, it's a poison chalice.
Everybody else who when you're on the radio and people criticise, say to them, "Why don't you come along and have a go?" Oh no, I won't want to do that. A bit like being a states member. If you think it's that easy, stick your name on the ballot sheet.
Yeah, but me and you wouldn't be good states members. We're doers. We just got to do it. I'm surprised that Edward's been, able to deal with it all.
I think he's reined it in a bit.
I think so, but he's used to getting things done quickly, and
I think I would go down to the guy who had the more code of conducts than anyone.
Well, that's quite a recent thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, this idea of code of conduct.
It's
and
like,
I think I warned one of the people going for the states. I was like, be careful, because if you issue code of conducts, then prepare for it to come back.
It's going to come back back at you.
I think poor Alex Snowden has had more code of conduct than anyone. And it's funny speaking to him. I'm sure he'll come on the show at some point and talk about what it's like. But it's very petty until suddenly it's an official stamp,
slap on the wrist.
And actually then you go, guys, come on, we're 2,000 people island. Like,
why can't you just sit around a room and sort it out if you got a problem? It's like anywhere else. So I always believe, it's like in when you work with someone, if you can't get on with them, go outside, but do a damn good argument, or go to the pub and sort it out. Have a pint and say, what's your problem with me? Why lash around a code of conduct, or
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you get off the island or start seeing bigger issues, suddenly these are your friends again.
Yeah, it's like,
like actually,
really,
yeah. and there you go. Like it's like the old hatreds that some people have. I mean, these are the things that I keep seeing as the thing that's holding the island back. Like if we can't work together, and if the states members can't see what talent is on the island and put them to work, then actually we're lost.
But I do think that there are changes now. I mean, you've got the new states members that seem to be really focused and driven. So hopefully this will make a difference.
Well, I think there's a pretty low bar for them to hurdle over.
No comment.
It's an easy one, but basically, guys, as long as you don't like pull each other's head off, then because
you'll get in.
The last group of states members, which I do honestly, I think I respect anyone for doing it, but in the end, it was incredibly, Game of Thrones. It was like head chopped off there, code of conduct here, this person's being fired. It was a bloodbath.
It's just nuts, but there we go.
I mean, you can't really help but get involved in politics, and in a way, it's people.
Yeah, but then, up until Mrs. Taylor becoming a States member, I would be very vocal on the
I was going to
on the
say,
radio. But
you've toned it
now
down a bit.
I do, because if I say something, suddenly I get a little WhatsApp going, "You can't say that." It's like, oh, okay.
Are you okay, honey?
I dropped Stuart Clark in the crap yesterday, because when we were announced Riduna Fest, Stuart said, "We'll come and have a look at what we can do with the quarry." To which I put it out as, "Stuart's agreed that we're going to do the quarry," and then I got this message, "No, I didn't agree." It's like, oh well, you have now. No, you haven't really. But
okay. Oh, sometimes sorry, you got to accept the fact
give a little bit of a squeeze.
You know what? I think if you're a doer and you try and do a lot of things, you're going to fail more than those people that never try.
Yeah, but if you land a couple, then it doesn't matter.
Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you just got to accept. I fucked up. Sorry. Let's try it. Let's try again. Like I did with you when I was supposed to. I was basically filming the election interviews. So you were interviewing all the people that were going for election to become a States member.
That would be it. And how did you remember how you got there? Oh yeah, your dad came and woke you up.
Okay, so how many of these were there? Like 7 or 8 of them or something?
No, I think it was when the Guernsey rep ones. So there was 4 or something like that.
4 or something. Yeah. But bearing in mind, like I get there, get to the studio, I put my camera there, make sure these guys are and they're bloody early. What time was it? 8:30 in the morning or something?
That's not bloody early. It is for someone like you.
Well, it's because I stay up to like 3 a.m.
Well, that's your fault.
Well, no, but I'm a
why? Because you're on the internet. You're on the internet. That's why.
I'm editing this bloody podcast.
There you go.
It takes
that's
a lot
your
of
own
time.
fault.
But the funny thing is, and I feel really bad about this, because Dad did wake me up eventually. He said, "Cam, you're supposed to be down the radio station." I leg it down there. Thankfully, you're 5 minutes away, and you got Alex Snowden just waiting there, going, "Right, Cam, where are you?" And it's like 20 minutes after he's supposed to go on. But we filmed them. They had a huge amount of engagement online.
Did.
I thought it was really good, very democratic.
It was, and it was interesting to see, because when we did the first ones for the first round of elections, it was interesting to see the viewing numbers, and then one of the people got way more viewers than others, and I found out why. Because that person kept going on and looking at himself over and over and over again to stick his viewing numbers up.
Well, there sneaky. You go. That does happen. But can I guess who that was? Was it?
No.
Okay. No comment.
No.
Do you know what? A lot of my guests on this show are fascinated by the numbers, because obviously, so we've just done the numbers for the first 12 episodes. It's had 220,000 views across the, all TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and it's the short clips that just seem to go viral. But I know a few people want to have a leaderboard.
Oh, right.
Talking about gamifying ideas and stuff.
God.
It's like,
don't worry, you'll get about 3 views of this one.
No, Ian, you are an Alderney legend now.
No,
mate.
I doubt that.
You've put yourself out there into limelight.
Regretfully, it just means that you can't go anywhere without people knowing who you are.
You're a local celebrity.
No, I doubt that. But there we go.
What was the other thing?
What was the other thing? Can't remember.
It's getting old. And you know what's funny? Until today, and I found out about your medical issues, you were so far down on the priority list, Ian. I was like, Alderney legends. I'm like, better interview the older ones first.
Before they die.
And their stories are lost forever. And now I'm like, God, thank God I got Ian's interview done.
Yeah.
Because you're a bit of a trouble case, mate. We gotta keep an eye on you.
Yeah, you never know your luck. I remember when the heart thing was diagnosed, and V and I were with the consultant. He said, "Well, okay." He said, "Well, what happens?" I said, "Well, eventually, the vessel will burst." And she said, "Well, what happens then?" He said, "Well, that's it." I said, "What do you mean that's it?" It's about 10 seconds later, he'll be dead. Oh, okay, that's it then. He said, "Yeah, that's it." Oh, okay. It's like, all right, and we potted off out the door, and went to the pub. What more can you do?
Wow. I think you got a really good. I think your wife is lovely. So I think she's
don't know what she's doing with me. Blind, deaf.
No, I think you're a bit more of a muse. A jester, a loving jester,
maybe, or an annoying jester probably.
I don't think that's the case. No, but I mean, retirement on Alderney. What's it like being here? Is there anywhere else?
Well, I haven't got chance. I haven't had time to retire. Like, ask anyone else who's tried to retire here. You always, like, the first 3 weeks, thought, what the hell am I going to do now? I mean, I walked the dog that many times. The dog was tired going out for a walk. And it's like, okay, oh, right, I better do this. Oh, maybe I'll do that. Oh, I'm going to look into this now. And then I had to communicate. I had a long conversation with the Guernsey deputy about yesterday, about another project that I'm looking at. And if I do that, that'll take even more time. And I'm doing a bit more consultancy. So no time to retire. Because I
Brilliant.
mean, I was talking to Jake Woodnut just now, and I said we were talking about retirement. He said my grandfather used to have a little general store in Yorkshire. He retired at 65, and he had a house built, and he walked out the shop, gave the keys to the new owner. He walked into his new house and dropped down dead of a heart attack. You know, retirement's not a great thing to do. You need to keep your mind busy.
I really appreciate that because, as a filmmaker and, I've worked for brands and doing agency stuff, and you sometimes do big campaigns, and then, you've put all your effort in, you've done the creative, and then you're unemployed again.
Yeah.
And it's like an echo, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
Yeah.
what do I do now? Now, if
Yeah.
I was a bit older, I think
Yeah.
that might just prompt a little,
Well,
little heart attack.
I think when I had Alderney Healthcare, we used to have there's a trade show I'm going to next week, but we used to have a 100 square meter stand on it that cost £80,000 to build, and we used to spend a week building it up, and we had a bar in the middle of it, and we had thousands of customers came onto it, and it was such a big thing. Like all my clients around the outside of it, but it took all that time to build it. But at the end of the show, it took 1.5 hours to knock it down, and the £80,000 is left on bits on the floor, and that was it. And you get in the car and you drive back to England and think, oh, now what?
And you just hope that it all was worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I think, was that it? Yeah.
Oh, mate.
But,
Well, I really do hope that you have a really long retirement here, because you're definitely a champion.
Well, I haven't finished pissing enough people off yet, so I thought I'd stick around.
Not yet. Well, no, but I think that you found yourself a really useful place to be at. We really need people like you, and I really love that as well. But my dad's obviously been involved in Alderney stuff for a very long time. But
he's a champion of it.
It's fair to say that he's coming to a bit more of a slower time, but you're like the young, energetic.
Well, he was going for a slower time till I roped him into Riduna Fest over lunch the other Sunday.
Do you know what? And he sat there being like, I just don't. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So tell me this. So Riduna Fest is going to be huge, really, for us at the island. How can people sort of help if they want to help you at all?
Dougal Bowen is in charge of getting volunteers together. He was desperate to get on with it earlier, but we gagged him until the announcement went out yesterday. It's on the 14th to 15th of August. We will have 6 acts on the Friday, 6 acts on the Sunday. We've got some huge tribute bands. We've signed up 4 already. We'll have everybody signed up in the next couple of weeks, but we're going to be looking for volunteers. It's because we've got bars to run, we've got concessions to do, and all this kind of thing. But we've got a year to do it, but I'm pretty sure that time is going to go by pretty quickly.
Amazing. Dare I ask if you will be using the internet for live broadcasts?
Well, you actually know full well that I'm going to, because I asked you about that, about how we can live cast the concert.
Well, I'm excited then. So that means that even people that cannot afford the fees of getting here can also tune in.
Exactly. Well, we were talking this morning, and we hope to get 1,500 people in the quarry. We're looking at it, maybe more, but it will sell out easily. We guarantee it. We think it'll sell out in the first couple of months. The tickets go on sale on 1st of November, and we've got some amazing tribute bands. I never knew. I mean, one of them, they look and sound just like the 2 blokes that you think they are. And that's a clue. They've just finished a world tour, I believe.
The 2
couple
blokes.
of brothers.
The Chuckle Brothers?
Yeah, that would be it.
That would be
Hinge
it.
and Bracket.
Oh no,
Ronson and Jerome.
I think I know Ronson and Jerome.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you don't even know who they are.
No idea. No,
there you go.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, you remember them? Very good.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, Donald Trump and Nigel Farage.
God, do you know what? Maybe you could have not just a tribute bands, but you could bring over impersonators to do acts.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite funny. And I was talking to Alex the other day about this, because obviously, like, it is going to probably, I don't know if there is festivals for tribute bands. Is there?
Yeah, there is.
There is.
Yeah.
So this isn't like a new thing, No,
it's just an idea, because if you look, like, for years, if you look the pubs and Rock the Rock and everything we've had before have always been, except when Do got over the West End Jersey Boys, but in general, they're cover bands. So a cover band will do songs of all different groups, whereas tribute bands, for example, let's pick one who isn't going. Let's say a Rod Stewart tribute band would be somebody who looks like Rod Stewart and sings like Rod Stewart, and his backing band are, I've been to see Rod Stewart. We'd probably get thrown out of Alderney if we had his backing band, because it's fairly close to the knuckle. In fact, it's very close to the knuckle. But that's the difference. A cover band do all different people music. A tribute is a copy of that one particular person.
Wow. Okay. Have you ever seen ABBA Voyage? Have you been on that journey
because
yet?
if you listen to the radio, which you clearly don't, you know that I have a desperate hate for ABBA. I cannot stand it. So I can guarantee you there will not be an ABBA tribute band.
Jesus, man. Does Vaughan know that you,
yes, he does.
You hate ABBA? We have like the biggest ABBA fan in the world.
I know. Well, it's okay, because he rags on me about my love for Kylie Minogue as well. So it works both ways.
Are you a big Kylie fan?
Oh, massive. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I could see your eyes light up there. If anyone's listening to this,
I once did a big charity walk, which was along from Rugby to Twickenham, along the Grand Union Canal there. And the guy, I'd never met the guys I was walking with before, but after 2 days, they sent a message by Tinterweb to Kylie's fan club saying, for God's sake, will you get her to send him a message asking him to shut up? So all I got was a voice message back going, hi Ian, this is Kylie. Can you shut up talking about me now? And that was it.
Oh my God. So wait, you have Connect to Kylie?
No, one-off. That was it.
A one-off.
Yeah. And it was probably somebody impersonating her as well.
You know what, you are kind of right. I am a very busy man, and so like I do tune into Riduna Radio every so often. But what is your tune in?
How do you do that?
I ask Alexa to
good. Just checking.
Play Alderney Online. Hopefully she doesn't kick off now. But what is your style of music then? What's your kind of...
I play anything. I'll play anything from country to blues to current to anything at all. I have about 6,500 tunes on my laptop, and lots of people, for example, plan their shows. I don't. I literally, on the way up the hill, I'll think of a news item and go, that will be it, and I'll play that, and then I'll literally scope through and I go, I'll play that now, and just, it can be anything. It can be Rod Stewart. I played some Leonard Cohen this morning for somebody's birthday. It can be Harry Styles. It doesn't matter. I'll play anything.
Wow.
And I think that's why on Riduna Radio we have so many listeners, because they all find us on Radio Garden. So if you go on Radio Garden, you can pick a genre, say, I don't know, 80s, and it will show you all the radio stations that are currently playing 80s. And then if you look, Alderney's a tiny rock in the middle of nowhere, and people go, what the hell is that? Got to listen to that. Ding. I mean, they've got people all around the world. I mean, the most obscure one we got is Paraguay, a regular listener in Paraguay, some guy in Manhattan, a lady that phones into the youth club show at least once every 3 months from New York, saying, I'm listening, blah, 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 and you girls are crazy. And, it's just not, we're just having fun. And so far, I haven't sworn, which for me is quite no.
Do you want to swear now?
No, that's all right.
This is the best thing about your own podcast.
I know. Well, it's the best thing about also internet based radio. It's not controlled by Ofcom, so you can say fuck if you want to.
Hey,
there you go. But luckily, I'm not the only one. V has.
Has she really?
Yeah. She dropped the F word by mistake because something went wrong when she was playing at the end of it, and she went, "Well, I fucked that up then." And that was it.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it? Because I mean, yes, the internet is great in many ways, particularly for us who want to broadcast and communicate our own shows. You do have a lot of presenters now.
Yep.
Is your roster full?
We've got room for another couple of. We've always got fill-ins.
What would be missing? What's a good presenter sort of section? So I don't remember the radio.
I think you could do it. Have you ever thought of doing acting? Oh no, you're off island. I was actually going to try and tuck you up for the panto.
What I would suggest to you is that you could play these episodes if you really wanted to play a podcast. Of course you could. Yeah, you could play this.
I mean, we have how we run it. We go 7/7 live, except 2 to 4 at lunchtime. We do replays, although bit by bit we're filling those in. So eventually, the evening, the 7 in the evening till 7 in the morning would be the direct replay of the day. So you can listen to the Brecky show at 8 o'clock or Ellis at 7 o'clock or whatever, and listen to it again.
Wow. Well, if you want to do a partnership, the old CamTalks and Riduna Radio, you can play all of my episodes.
Excellent.
We'll get the agents to do
We
the
will,
deal
yeah.
later.
And how much will you pay us to broadcast it?
Whoa, I thought you paid me for it.
No, we're a volunteer operation. We don't have any money.
This
we're
is
poor.
what we want, guys. We want active debate. We want people to actually
skin.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the best thing about Alderney, right? No one gets paid for anything.
No, exactly.
Although the States members do get a little bit. It's
not a great deal from what I hear.
Not a great deal. But, you know, the race to the bottom is a real thing.
It is.
Like,
Once you've been at the bottom, there's only one way up. That's the advantage, you know.
They're getting paid pittance. It's like, but you're getting paid nothing. It's like, you and your pittance.
But then you saw on the news this morning, the guy who owns Oracle or runs Oracle or whatever, he's overtaken Elon Musk to be the richest man in the world.
Oh my Lord.
All over one small acquisition. It's like, okay, there's no point in not having all that money.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. It is crazy. I mean, that is a massive. It's a lack of anything. You know, money makes things happen.
But then you don't. What do you need it for? I mean, I've devoted myself to wasting it. Race horses, boats. You know, all that.
Race horses. What are you doing in race horses?
Well, it involved alcohol. I went to a Lord's Taverners event and had too much to drink. And there was this blooming standard raffle came along, and I went to go to a part of it was go to see a stables. I went to the stables and we bought the hind leg of a donkey, and that was rubbish. So I bought the hind leg of another donkey that actually won twice, and then was absolute rubbish. So I think it's probably Kenner meat or something like that now.
Hold a second. When you said bought a hind leg, is this a euphemism?
It was in a syndicate. I was in a syndicate. So
a racer.
Yeah. It was a flat racer, so it was a.
So you're a betting man.
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, so yeah, we owned a tenth of a horse called Golden Slam, and it won on the first time out, and it won on the third time out, and then it got damaged in the horse box and was rubbish after that. But yeah, that was a good way of pouring money down the drain.
Oh, poor horse! Just a piece of meat that's expected to run the race.
Meat now, but you know.
Yeah, bless it. Sorry. Glue or something.
I was about to give you my "I really care" thing, but I didn't because I lost too much money on it.
Sorry. Yeah. Have you ever been to like Vegas and stuff? Have you ever done?
Yeah, I've done trade shows in Vegas. Yeah.
What's that like?
Nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts. It's very brash. It's interesting. You go there. I play the tables a bit. I'm terrible at gambling. I luckily came away slightly up on where I went in. But the first night, the most recent time I went, I was doing a trade show there and went there. One of my clients, who I said, "We're going to go and play the tables." He said, "No, I don't bet." He said, "But I'll come and watch you." So he came, and after about half an hour, I'd blown off about $1,000 on the roulette table. And I said, "No, I'm not going to. It's cold. I'm not going to bother." So I went to the bar instead. He only went on Facebook that night. Said, "Never seen someone in my life lose $1,000 so quickly." I thought, brilliant. Thank you very much. Wife knows now.
Oh no!
But Vegas is interesting. I love America. I mean, there are certain parts of America that are absolutely beautiful. And I had an office in Manhattan, and I get the opportunity to drive around America and measure kids for wheelchairs and stuff like this, and see some of the most beautiful parts of America that nobody really knows. I mean, upstate New York and around that area is absolutely amazing.
We just had a bunch of Americans here. Alexis's son Sol obviously had his 40th birthday here. You can always tell when an American's close. You know, it's like, "Oh my God, hi!"
Yeah.
Like, "Oh fuck, like this is crazy." You
well,
know?
if you were the best one, if you listen to the radio tomorrow after about 2 minutes past 9, there's an advert for San Francisco, and the lass on there has the worst West Coast America you've ever heard, and it's like, oh my God.
What's an SF ad doing on Riduna Radio?
It's from we buy our news from a news broadcaster, and they include ads for the most obscure things you've ever seen.
So was that UK news or just global news?
It's global news.
So
it's basically
SF.
we buy in, and you put up with their news, and you have to put up with their adverts, or you have to pay money to have it advertless. But we don't want to pay the money because we need to save the money. But it's awful.
I bet you any money someone's booking a ticket to San Francisco.
Yeah, right now.
On Alderney, they're like, "Honey, I think we should."
I need to go and see Anne Marie Bazzotti because it's such a sports scene.
Yeah. I do like the Americans. I've
love it.
lived on
Yeah.
the East and the West Coast, and yeah, both sides make me happy.
Yeah.
They're
You
just
should
different.
try upstate Michigan.
Yeah?
Beautiful. Yeah. Bloody cold in the I work for a company up there. Bloody cold in the winter,
Oh
but
yeah.
beautiful in the summer.
Yeah, I'm
Unbelievable.
mostly California and Florida.
Of course you
sort
are.
of,
That's
yeah.
why you wear your baseball back front.
I've been told many times now that if I took this off, they'd take me more seriously.
Maybe you're bald.
No, God,
Or maybe
no.
it's a syrup.
No,
you know?
although I'm going to let you keep guessing if I
Okay.
am bald.
There we go.
No, I don't know. It's you know, yeah, I'm 33 now. I think when I'm 40, that'll be when I take my cap off.
Okay.
How's that? Deal?
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I'm 70, I might grow up and be mature, but I don't guarantee that either.
Ian, with your health record, if you get to 70, mate,
it'll be a bloody miracle.
I'll take my cap off
Yeah,
for you
exactly,
then.
exactly.
As a present.
Yeah.
Well, look, Ian, is there anything else that you want to
No,
chat about today?
Not at all. No. Happy to come in and have a old chat with you. Learn what podcasts are.
Yeah, well, let's do this again. Obviously, maybe we could have a live Riduna Fest podcast. We could just have the whole thing, you know, going.
Yeah.
You know, a bit like in Glastonbury, where they, you know, they have a little studio just in front of the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can go in the VIP area and all that shit. You know, get some creds and, you know. But yeah, I mean, what we could do as well. I mean, when we've got the acts together, you know, come down the radio and we'll do a live podcast from there when we announce who all the acts are and all that kind of thing.
That's a great idea, mate. Yeah. Well,
if you remember to get up, that is.
I will try my best to remember to get up.
Good.
Well, look, Ian Taylor, thank you very much.
No problem.
Lastly, how can people find out about Riduna Radio and Riduna Fest?
Riduna Radio is all the rugby is riduna-radio.com. Or if you want to listen, you can download the skill from our website, or you can download the Google Play or iOS apps on your handheld devices. If you want to go to Riduna Fest, you can search on Facebook and Instagram, and pretty soon, I believe, TikTok, although I don't know what TikTok is, but it will be just at Riduna Fest.
There you go. Ian loves technology.
I know it.
He loves technology.
Yep, I know.
Ian Taylor, thank you so much.
No problem. All right, mate. Cheers.